look myself in the mirror and accept that if you weren't a racist, you condone what a racist did. So that's, to me, the same thing. It's the same thing. So
I agree with you completely.
Sounds to really make you rub and scrub. Swang badang badang bong biddly biddly bong. Bong biddly 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 bong. I said, pass the dutchie on the left hand side. Pass the dutchie on the left hand side. It a go bun.
Anthony, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invite.
I appreciate it.
You got a big show. You got a big following. So God bless you.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Both of you, welcome to the show. I greatly appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, and good morning.
The floor is yours.
Whatever it is, it'll keep till the morning. Haven't we both got better things to do? Midnight blue.
I'm on your side, I still care. I may have died, but I've gone nowhere. Just think of me, I'll be there. Just think of me, I'll be there. There you go. Bit rusty.
Oh. You know what? I gotta tell you, usually I make my guests get a little emotional if I find something that touches them. You got me this time. So viewers, you're always telling me you got this one emotional. That got me emotional. I had to wipe my eyes.
No.
Since you told me you've seen some of the shows already, welcome, Johnny, of course. You know the running joke on my show is, because you're 6 hours ahead of me.
Oh, yeah.
I need the lottery numbers. But,
What do you mean? These ones?
Yeah, there you go. I love it.
I'm one step ahead of you, man.
Hey, folks, the man with the pinky ring and the New York thing, forget about it, Bad Brad Berkwitt, and you're watching another episode of the Bad Brad Berkwitt Show on the Ringside Report web TV channel. Now hit that button whenever corner and subscribe. Leave your comments below. Let's have a conversation. I always personally respond to all comments. Now as well, follow me on Twitter at BadBrad@RSR. Again, that's at BadBradRSR. Well, folks, today I got a special guest. And if you remember a couple months ago, I reviewed her book. I gave it 5 stars. The book is Melania and Me, New York Times bestseller. Forget about it. My special guest, coming all the way from the East Coast, New York City, my old stomping grounds. So you know we're going to have a great conversation. Is the one, the only, Stephanie Winston Wolkoff. Forget about it. All right, everybody, you've been waiting for this interview. First, I want to say welcome to the show, Stephanie. It's been a while.
Thank you for having me, Brad.
Absolutely. How you doing today?
Doing great.
Weather?
So happy to be on with you.
I appreciate it. We got a lot of ground to cover. Let's start out with what's weather today. You're in New York, right? You in the city or you in where?
Oh, no, I'm in New York City. I'm at home.
Not my hometown. I'm Westchester County. To you, upstate. That is not upstate, folks. It's 20 minutes from the Bronx. But to Stephanie, I'm upstate, as might as well be in Buffalo. So what's the temperature today?
That's a good question. I haven't been outside in a while. I couldn't tell you.
Okay. Is the sun shining?
A little bit, a
You're
little
looking out the
cloudy,
window.
a little
What are you in
sunny,
a
a little
high-rise?
cloudy.
Okay. I always start out like this, more the personal side. How have you dealt with, family-wise, your immediate, your inner circle with COVID?
It's, first I want to thank you for, bringing attention to this pandemic, because you've really focused on that a lot. And I think it's so important because so many people feel that they don't need to get the shot. And thankfully for people like you, the louder you speak, the more people can hear you, the better off we're all going to be with herd immunity. So thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been rough. It's been tough. And it's been something that I think, whether I know someone or not who's had it, and I do, I feel for everyone, and I'm thankful. You know, the only good thing that came out of getting sick working for the Trumps was the fact that I had, you know, at least 4 underlying conditions where I was fortunate enough to get the shot early enough. So you know, that was the one good thing. But honestly, and that's really terrible to say, but you know, I think that more and more people need to understand, you know, that this is no joke, and this is something that they need to take very, very seriously, and people need to get that shot.
Okay. We're going to start out at the beginning. Stephanie and I share. Stephanie is a Jewish girl from New York. I'm going to tell you a part where she grew up here in a minute. I'm half a Jew, European Jew. My father's side, the other side's Italian. So if I have my notes correct, I don't know if you were born in, but you were raised, I believe, in the Catskills, correct?
Yes, I was raised in the Catskills. I was born in Monticello, New York.
Okay, Monticello, New York. And the Catskills, wasn't it called our parents' time, the Borscht Belt? Wasn't that what it was called?
I don't know. Was it really?
Yeah.
I actually never heard that, but it's
Well, I think
possible.
yeah, because you know, you had like Henny Youngman, a lot of Jewish comedians, and
It's
a
true.
lot of Jewish people went up there in the summertime.
Rosingers,
Yeah.
butchers, yeah,
Well,
all
right, and
exactly.
they had boxing there. They had boxing there.
Yeah,
grocery.
really,
Right.
exactly.
So heyday 50s, 60s of that period, I haven't heard lately about it, but talk about for the viewers growing up in the Catskills or Monticello, that area.
Well, I grew up in Liberty, up near, actually in Ferndale.
Okay.
We went to school in Liberty, and it was, you know, again, something so different than what people expect someone, you know, to think about when you're waking up in the morning. I mean, my brother would walk out onto the porch and he would blow his trumpet to a field of cows. And no joke. I mean, we lived, you know, we had an amazing farm across the street. My father, you know, my biological father, who I don't have any communication with, you know, with whatsoever, and my stepfather, who adopted us, may he rest in peace, passed away over the last several months. So it's been a rough time. So I'm sorry. But thank you. But I, you know, we went to karate 5 days a week. My mother, brothers, and I. So the 4 of us, and we just, you know, like anybody else, we grew up not knowing what we didn't know until, you know, we realized that a lot of kids didn't like a Jewish child, and, you know, we would start getting beat up, and, you know, kids would wait for me at the end of class. And, you know, my brothers, I taught me some really great self-defense, and that's when we started karate. And I think that's the only good thing my father actually did. My biological father actually did tell us was, you know, stick up for yourself when we asked for a little help.
Okay. And your stepfather was the heir, or he was a Winston, right?
Yes,
To
Bruce
the Jew-
Winston
right.
was Harry Winston's son. So so his brother Ronald and he were Harry's sons.
Okay. Your mom Jewish?
Yes, my mother is Jewish. Both her parents were in the Holocaust,
Oh.
and survivors from Auschwitz. And so, you know, I have to say there was definitely an underlying strength within our family, an underlying guilt and underlying resilience. And I think it brought, you know, made me who I am today.
Okay. Looks like you attended Fordham University for 2 years, where you played NCAA Division I basketball as a power forward. Is that correct? Oh, let me turn off my email. Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Thought I did. Okay, that's off. Power forward, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then you went on to how you say it? Loyola? I always say it wrong.
Loyola University. But I have to say, look, I went to private school, right, in Connecticut. I came home. I was supposed to go to BU.
Okay.
My mom was going through divorce, really messed up. My biological father was, you know, not handling things accordingly or properly, really like terribly. And I couldn't leave my mom. I just wouldn't leave my mom. So I took a train ride up to the Bronx the day I got back from, you know, summer, because I took off actually after my high school graduation from Suffield. I took off with a friend of mine because my father put his arm around me and told me, hey, don't worry, we're going to, you know, your mother and I are getting divorced, but I'll always love you. I didn't go home with them that day. Took off for a couple months, came back, and decided I needed to be in New York with my mother in New York City. And she had an apartment then. there, and I went on as a walk-on to Portland. And so it wasn't something I'd planned.
Okay.
And practice was never official until I was gutted, like literally my breath taken out of me. But I have to say the guys' team really took me in. It's like their little sister. And then I was welcomed into the girls group. You know, all of a sudden this girl shows up, 6'1", power forward, parents driving around in a nice car, you know, just what's she doing here? Laura Ashley Sheets. It was the worst thing, you know, it was hard. But you have to tell you, made me who I am today.
That's okay. And I was going to ask you how tall you are because I got a quote from you that I'm going to read for the viewers later.
Okay.
So that's 6'1". Remember 6'1" because it'll make sense. Okay. And you got a degree. You got a degree in communications, right? And
then I went to Loyola University in New Orleans and graduated from there.
Okay. And with the degree in communications?
A degree in communications, broadcast production and communications.
All right. So I would be remiss. My better half, Debbie, is from Louisiana. So I have to ask you, what are your memories of New Orleans and the food and the music and all of that?
Well, I love Tipitina's.
Okay.
I mean, that was just, you know, again, it's our little hangout, but I was really a homebody. You know, I moved all my friends from boarding school, not all, but many of my friends were at Tulane. And that was one of the reasons why I chose Loyola, was just to be close to people that I know I cared about and cared about me. And I wanted to be somewhere where they were. But it was really Tipitina's and, oh my God, what's that fried dough called? With the white powder. She's got Debbie. Oh my God, it's delicious.
You're talking about
but anyway, it's
from, don't they make it at the carnival? No, it's not funnel cake.
Yes, and they make it at the carnival.
Right. Is that funnel cake? I think it's called.
It is funnel cake, but I think it's called something else. But anyway, it was that was my favorite food.
Okay. Now I was going to ask you a question a little bit later, but you went to it. So let's talk a little bit more about that. You did martial arts. How far did you go with your martial arts?
I was a black belt in Tang Soo Do, Mudo Kwan, Korean karate. Our instructor, Young Hong, was the grandmaster of this type of style. He was in Monticello, New York. His wife, Ansuk, her father was the grandmaster, and Youngie, her husband, was our instructor. And he ended up becoming like a second father to us.
Okay. First job out of college was with Sotheby's auction, which you talk about in a book. And
proudly lobby girl.
Right, as a lobby girl. So talk about that experience.
You know, I didn't know what I was going to do after college, and having my mother, you know, it was that type of job that I sort of fell into out of family relationships. Mm-hmm. I mean, of all things to go do, why Sotheby's? You know, why art? Why? I had no idea. It was just a job that my mother said, "Oh, this will be great," and so I did it. And I have to say, I learned so much about the world of art and fashion and entertainment, and just met so many incredible people. And I think that's really, you know, I was involved in the auctions and just, I was always moving around. I was never in like just one department. So I was a floater at first, and then I was lobby girl. And then I just moved up to the president's office, and then to the catalog desk, and then to bids and selling. It was, you know, I wasn't used to dressing up every day and putting on a little pink skirt and a little pink jacket. You know, it just wasn't my thing. But you know, it was part of what you did there. And I really didn't care so much. You know what I mean? Like the same thing, like when I got to Vogue, I didn't try so hard. I just loved being, you know, bathrooms upstairs to your left, exhibitions downstairs to your right, welcome. And some people would walk in the most amazing things in like a brown bag. You hear these stories, but like a jewelry collection. And they weren't, you know, they didn't look sophisticated. It didn't matter. It was, you know, they loved whatever it was, their artwork, their jewels, their whatever. So I met some great people along the way. And that's where I met Ron Delsner, which was, you know, my second job. Mm-hmm. I left Sotheby's to go work, you know, for the king of, you know, rock. It was great.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, I don't think you were there when they did that, but didn't Sotheby's do some, I'm a huge Sinatra fan. I collect this stuff. Didn't Sotheby's do an auction of his stuff at one time? Was it Sotheby's? Do you remember by chance?
I don't remember. I would think I would remember, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Only because my, you know, Sinatra, you know, slapped my husband's ass when he was a baby.
Oh, did he really? There you go. There's a story. All right. So I forgot about the promotion start. So I'm going to talk a talking point about Vogue, but talk about because it's interesting. The gentleman you worked for, would you say his name was Ron?
Ron Delsner.
Yeah. Talk about that time.
Well, I had been at Sotheby's for probably around, I would say 3.5, 4 years already. No, 3 years, because I'd gone back for about another 8 months for Jackie O and Duke and Duchess of Windsor. But Ron was a client of mine, and he started Jones Beach.
Oh,
And
yeah, I know Jones Beach.
yeah, so Ron really was this, he's a caricature. He really is, but with a heart of gold. And he's got a really, sharp mouth, wise, and could be a little bit nasty in the sense of, back then, things were more accepted. People could speak more openly, without any type of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Ramifications.
Thank you. That's a good word. And again, I had 2 older brothers, so I was so used to that. I'd give it right back. I wasn't someone who just sat there and I realized that we were bantering.
Right.
And again, there's a big difference between banter and a big difference between what's happening today.
Right.
Totally different.
Right.
And Ron, introduced me to a world that I knew nothing about. I listened to Bob Dylan and the Stones while I was at school, but I didn't really know anything about music or musicians or the world of producing, actually producing. And so I was like his little puppy dog. I did whatever needed to be done. And it didn't matter if it was taking out the garbage, answering his phones, or meeting, the musicians backstage to make sure that, their tech and crew were set up on time.
Okay. We're going to go into the Vogue part. Let me read something for the viewers. So in 1998, you were invited to a Vogue event that was launching a new cell phone, right? Is that correct? Okay. You met Alexandra, as you say, Couture, and Kimberly Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay. It seemed like from your book that Alexandra took a shine to you, and she basically mentioned a position with public relations. You got a great line in the book where you say, and I'm going to quote you, this, folks, this is where I was saying when she's 6'1", and this will make sense. So in her book, Melania and Me, she said, up until that point in your life, and you said my life, you hadn't been seduced by the world of fashion lured into the industry. You said you cared more about my pants having a 36-inch inseam than I did about the brand or the label. So that's where the 6'1" comes in, because I was wondering if 36, because Debbie's tall. I was wondering how to, so you're 6'1", so that's where it ties in. So from that point of going and doing the interview, and from there, fill in the rest for the viewers.
Sure. So I had a great night. Again, it was one of those Vogue events that you were invited to, a small group of people, about 10 people, and there was a position open in the public relations department. What I knew of Vogue was what I read on the magazine cover. Again, like I said, I wasn't a fashion girl. I didn't.
Were you
really,
a tomboy? Were you a tomboy back in the day?
You know what? I was. Definitely. Division I basketball, karate. I love just being who and where and what I'm doing. I get really into it.
Okay.
So whether, I did Outward Bound and I went to Le Rosé in Switzerland. That was one thing my mom was really good at, was never letting me get too comfortable with anything. Like, I think I went to the same camp maybe 2 summers in a row. And it was the reason, some people go year after year after year. No, my mom believed in being able to adapt to any situation and not to go where, just because everybody else was doing it.
Okay.
I love the outdoors. And again, I think that when I went to Vogue, I knew who Anna Wintour was, obviously, but I didn't know really that much as I should have, I think, at the time, but maybe that was good. And I was excited to have the opportunity to go. I walked into the Condé Nast building. It was not what I expected. Again, it was so militant. It was so proper. It was so organized. But there was this rush of energy in the halls. Everyone was running with the clothing and the racks and it was just so different than Sotheby's, which was so prim and proper. And, so for me, the rush, the activity around me was what got me excited. And I went and I met with Anna. I had my interview for about, I would say 15 minutes. It was quick. It wasn't a long interview, but it was a really solid, strong one where she asked me some tough questions. Did I read, fashion magazines? What were my favorite? What I didn't have the answers because I never read them. so I told her so. I mean, my answers were, look, I don't read, I read, not what you were, not, I think, women's wear and W, and I needed to educate myself in the world of fashion. But for me, the world of fashion was really more the business of fashion. And that's where I took such an interest in my work with Anna, and was fortunate enough to, be exposed to that, as well as, get a position in the public relations department, which was nothing that I really was that interested in, but was able to then go on and create the events department at Vogue, which had always been outsourced until about 2 years of my tenure. And then we started producing everything in-house. And, I say my baby is the Met Gala.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really something that I was fortunate to have the opportunity to work on, and to oversee and orchestrate, and really, to have someone like Anna's vision and visionary, like there is nothing like it. And when you talk about bringing fashion, art, music together, that is the moment where fashion and entertainment and the arts come together in one, again, one evening. Curatorially, it lasts for a year, but that one evening of the Met Gala is it's epic.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to highlight some of your other, I'm real
Sure.
big on giving people credit, but I want to talk about a gentleman, I believe his name, and I don't even have a note, but it just came back to him from your book. Was it Andre?
Andre Leontali.
Yeah, I love the stories you tell about him.
I love him.
Yeah. He's still with us, right? Is he still alive?
He's still alive.
Okay,
He's
good.
still alive. He's had, he just came out with his own book as well.
Okay.
And
Tell the viewers who he is, because you tell some great stories in your book about him.
Andre Leontali is, or was, the editor-at-large at Vogue, and he was just a creative force like no other. And he's just flamboyant and extravagant, and he walked around in these capes, and he really did take me under his wing when I got there. And Andre was very close to Anna at the time, and I think I know a lot of what his book is he felt really hurt. And his relation with Anna didn't end well.
Okay.
And so that's what his book is a lot about. But Andre came from just such a different background from most people, and really worked his way into this industry through educating himself in the world of fashion and understanding the different designers and fabrics. And it wasn't how I learned it. I learned it just at the very, I was on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
He was, he really instinctively knew so well informed, and someone that could, look at something and know what year, texture, type, that wasn't just a different way of being. And he, Andre and I used to stand on either side of Anna. We'd go, to the fashion shows. This is before I was the founding fashion director at Lincoln Center, but when I used to go to Fashion Week, while I was at Vogue, whether it be in New York or Paris with Anna and Andre and I, because he's so big and tall, and I was so big and tall, and we would flank Anna on either side. And I think we sort of felt like, we were there to protect her.
Right.
And the last person in the world that needs protection is Anna Wintour. So, it was sort of, this just thought that would occur, and we'd laugh about it afterwards. But he was a great teammate. He was amazing.
Okay. Highlight some of your, I like giving people credit for their things that they've done in their life. Highlight some, I know you said the Met, that's one, but a couple other things that you've done.
Sure.
You did at Vogue.
I have to say, when I first started out at Vogue, it was just Vogue, and then Men's Vogue, Vogue Living, Teen Vogue, all started wrapping up under my umbrella. And so we produced, orchestrated, oversaw, collaborated with everything from 7th on Sale, which is the largest sample sale, to unforgettable fashion of the Oscars, which we did at Christie's, actually, in London.
Okay.
To the VH1 Vogue Fashion Awards, to producing the Cité Vogue Fashion Fund with all the emerging designers, and every event that we did. And then I worked with Baz Luhrmann and mini production of Moulin Rouge. Every event that we ever did, to luncheons or dinners with Roger Federer. I mean, my list goes on and on. We did probably about 60 to 75 events a year, but big ones. And the best part about, I would say 95% of them, was that Anna always had a charitable component. There was always a reason, whether it be for the CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund, which helped with AIDS, raised money. There's always a cause that she promoted, and she used her position to make sure that others that didn't have the resources nor the, celebrity to do so, she took action and always did that. And that was something that not only admired, but I learned, and something that I continued doing, that I know, again, that's why I understand nonprofits really well.
Okay. Last part I want to talk about in this segment is, how is Zach doing? I know you talk about Zach in the book that he had ailments and stuff. I don't want you to put anything too personal out, whatever.
That's so nice of you to ask. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Zachary's doing amazingly well, thank you. He's struggled. He's had fatal food allergies his entire life, and he has been a survivor. And he's worked really hard. He's just graduated from Trinity Pauling, which is, we're so proud of him. Or he's graduating this, next month.
18?
He's actually 19.
19, okay.
19, and I know. And he's going to the University of Arizona.
Good for him.
So we're really, really proud of him. He's been through a lot.
That part in your book, I want you to know, and don't get emotional on me, because I know sometimes I make my guests emotional. That part resonated with me because you were a proud mom, and I was touched by that.
I'm really proud of him.
I'm glad you had that in that book. I'm glad you had that in that book too.
Thank you. There's so much more I wish I could have added. You know what I mean? Because it does. When your child is not, or is going through things that it just emotionally holds you back from so much, and it drains you. Again, as a mother, you just want whatever you can do for your child.
And may I add, a Jewish mother, so that even
Jewish mother. Oh my God, forget about it.
We're not going to talk about Jewish guilt. Oy vey.
It's the worst, right? But I have to say, his brother and sister are amazing to him, and to the support that he needed. And again, you don't know the anxiety, the things that come along with not just food allergies, but learning, and there's just so much. So thank you for asking. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And one other point about your family, your brother, I think, is Brandon. Brandon is an actor, right? Or he was
Randall.
Randall. What is it?
I have a cousin named Brandon, but my brother is Randall and Gordon. Randall's an actor.
Yeah.
Randall Battenkoff. Yes, he has been was a child actor. He's now a director. He most recently directed. Oh my God! See, now he's going to kill me. Thanks.
That's all right.
Oh my God! Wait, it's the basketball Inside Game.
Oh, okay.
So Inside Game, which is about the NBA,
right?
True story. And he was my editor for Melania and me.
Oh, okay.
I started out with a writer.
Oh my God! He had to go through all of that stuff.
Well, he went through it with me for the years that I was, before I wrote it. So he might as well have become the editor on it. He really understood me. I trust him implicitly. And there is no one that could have done this with me but him.
Okay. All right. That's where we're going to segue into. Now, if we drop a few F-bombs, hey, folks, that's the way it is, because this is what the Trumps will do to you. So, as everybody knows already, the book is called Melania and Me. So, but we're going to talk about some of that stuff. But I want to put context for someone that may have not read the book, may know of you from being on Chris or with Don or whomever, because you've done so many shows. But I want to set up context. So it looks like you, and I don't, if I pronounce her last name wrong, correct me. Melania, how did you say before? Was her maiden name? Naus. Okay. When you both were, and you say this in the book, you both were about 32 years old back in 2000. You said it in the book, so I'm not giving it to you.
Look, I'm 50 years old. I'm good with it.
There you go. And I'm older than you, so. 32 years old back in 2003, Walking the Halls of Vogue, where you worked, which that's out of your book. Then you attended their wedding. I'm sorry to hear that. And you were at her baby shower for Barron. Now, I will make one point for the viewers. The one Trump that I will tell people on the left that you don't mess with is Barron. Now, when he's 18 or something like that, it's a different story, but he's underage. And for my show and for my Twitter page, I do not let anybody attack him at all. Don Jr., the rest of them, I don't care. Forget about it. They're not off limits. But Barron is underage, and you guys remember that. So if you leave me a comment about why didn't you say this or why didn't you say that, I'm going to block you from my channel, because I don't attack kids that are underage, including Barron.
100%. And I hope you actually, you do know, when I wrote the book, there's not one thing really about Barron, because I won't either.
Right.
And I know Barron, and he's a sweet boy. So.
And we'll leave it at that. So for the viewers, in your opinion, at what point of knowing Melania, did you personally, Stephanie, feel that she was a close friend?
I really think that it picked up, and I had that, you know, again, being a working mom, and being a mother that really, I didn't, again, from working to coming home to full time, I did one or the other. I wasn't a big goer outer. Everyone who knows me knows this. I had a lot on my hands when I came home with my children, with learning issues. And again, it was just, everyone's got their stuff. I happen to just really just be so hands-on, that Jewish mom. I really was a helicopter mom. But I have 3 great kids. So it is what it is. But I felt like, you know, Melania and I had lunch about once a month, once every 2 months. And it was, for a few times it was with other people. It was the same people. It was never, you know, extended group. Maybe there were 3 or 4 other people. And then she wanted to just have lunch with, you know, the 2 of us. So it wasn't like we went shopping or we went to theater or we went, you know, to any shows. It was nothing like that. It was one-on-one, very, you know, I would say probably around 2013, more 2014, when all of a sudden we started sharing more. And then 2015, she really opened up a little bit more to me and asked me for a few more things. See, I go to that. I'm like, she asked me for a few more things. And I consider that friendship, right? Which is really screwed up. But no, when your friends need something, your friends need something. Yeah. And when they're your friend, I believe in unconditional friendship. So you're either in my life or you're not in my life. And my friends know with everything that's going on, they're the ones that come knocking at my door, and they don't care whether I'm happy to see them, not happy to see them, because I'm not going to pick up my phone. So they know they're going to come by and see me. Something like that. If someone needs something, I'm going to be there for them. And so right when Melania, I think, needed me most is when we got closest, which was at the end of 2015, middle of 2016. Okay. I started really helping her out.
Now, you saw my review. I gave her book 5 stars. It's on my channel. You can check it out. There's a part in it, I'm pretty sure that you said, in
Thank you.
Paraphrasing, you're welcome, paraphrasing, but was I gullible? Was it, when it came to the relationship, was I gullible or was I can't remember how you said it. I don't want to misquote you, but do you remember what you said?
You know, I don't remember exactly what I wrote in the book, but you know, people say to me, were you, you know, really, you're that gullible, or are you that stupid, or are you that naive? No, I didn't say it in the book. Yeah. I'm saying what people have said to me.
Right. Well,
you know, and people have attacked me for it. And the reality is that Melania was not like my typical other friends. She was so closed off from the world. And I genuinely believed that we shared a bond like we didn't with anybody else, right? She was so closed off, and I was that one person that she chose to be friends with, and I sort of felt special, right. You know, and there was something about her that I didn't care what anybody else had to say or think, or who she was before, or middle, after. She was a sweet person, and at the time, I believed it, right? And so
you thought, okay, let me clarify that, because I know people are going to come back and say this. And I don't want them to misquote you. At that time, you're saying you thought that
I was naively played on.
Right, that she was sweet. Because I never thought she was sweet. I mean.
No, and that's the thing. Again, she's conniving.
She's conniving.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, she met me at Vogue. So Donald gave her the okay, because he knew me from Vogue. So they absolutely went home that evening and talked about it. And I was okay for her to be friends with. Look, people think, you want to be friends with the Trump? Really? No. The Trumps needed me to continue their access to the red carpets, to get invited to the right events.
Which you talked about in your book. You talked about that.
All of that. So was I naive and gullible? I believed in something that didn't exist, which was she had some good in her. At the end of the day, she had no good in her. She was strategically playing and using me the entire time, but I didn't realize it, again, because life was going so fast, and it's not an excuse. I really thought she liked me. Right. You know, I was, again, it's at times I feel like I can't even explain it, because I feel so tortured from it that I actually believe that someone like that cared when they really don't care at all.
You know, Anthony Scaramucci is a friend of mine. I had him on the show. You
Yeah,
know,
he's
the
great.
very first show that I did with Anthony, asked him very tough
He's-
questions. And he stood up to him and he answered him, and I respect him even more for it. That's why he's been on 3 times. I forget who wrote the book, and I don't want to misquote his title, but everything that Trump's touch or Trump touches dies or something,
Yep.
which is a great title because it's true.
Great.
It's true because everything they touch. Okay, so we set up that. Folks, in this particular segment, we're going to jump around. And Stephanie, if you have something that if you need to add on to what I'm saying, please do, because I got a lot of talking points because this part is the longest part of the thing because I want to get a lot of stuff out. December 2016, you created an event planning firm, WIS Media Partners. Is that correct?
I didn't create the articles of incorporation, but yes, I went into a partnership with 4 other people from a company called Tiny Horse, and we created Wiz together.
Wiz, okay. Which was instrumental in organizing the inauguration of Trump, correct? Okay.
Yes.
All right, in January 17. If anything is wrong, say, hey, Brad, correct me. I'm very factual. Looks
Thank
like the firm was paid, was it 26 million? Is that what the number was?
It
Something like
was, well, that's the rounded up number. Yes.
Okay.
I think it was 25,833, something like that. But yeah,
that? That's fine.
I've been
About-
really studying this.
That's fine. About 1/4 of the total expenses of the inauguration, according to a tax filing, most of the money went to other vendors and about a dozen staff members. Is that kind of correct? Is that
No,
correct?
but that's, I mean, that's
No.
correct. That's the story that's out there. Yes.
Okay.
The story
Okay,
that's out
fine.
there is correct, but is that
That's
correct?
awful. That's awful. That's the story that's out there. So at that point, tell me to that talking point, and for the viewers, explain what is wrong with that story, but also so they'll understand. I know it from the book and I know it from talking to you, but I want them to understand what the Trumps tried to pin on you through the Justice Department, or even not through the Justice Department at the beginning when all of that went down. So
Sure.
they understand in your context. I'm going to give you the mic. Go for it.
Thank you. So the Presidential Inauguration Committee raised $107 million. So they say. Could be more. I wouldn't say it could be less, but could be more. Of that $107 million, the PIC, the Presidential Inauguration Committee, whose chairman was Tom Barrack and Deputy Chairman Rick Gates. I know, really. I mean, these are the people I was working with. CEO Sarah Armstrong, who went on to the Chamber of Commerce, and the CFO Heather Martin, who actually became Trump's his CFO in his office in the White House. So you can imagine how the money was controlled and manipulated. I mean, I call it smoke and mirrors in the book for a really good reason, because the budgets were smoke and mirrors. And again, that's to be shared, fully at a later point. I wish we had, a whiteboard right now, because I think I would take it out and start to show you. And it's something that that eats me up inside, because unfortunately, because I was the face of this corruption, I became the scapegoat. The people, the United States of America, the world has no idea what really happened to the $107 million. And that, I think, is just, forget about the Trump's, graft and their ability to, everything they touch dies. They use the media, right? The machinations, the propaganda machine that they had the power to control. They used it all in their defense, and all to take the attention away. As we know, that's what Donald is best at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that, the shiny object is on one side and what they're doing is in the dark on the other. And
Yep.
so I was working in the White House when the official $107 million was needed to be accounted for. And that took a year for the Presidential Inauguration Committee to account for. It's really supposed to take like a month.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So everyone was waiting. And within that year, the White House was accumulating all these questions from all the different press. And that in my book that's the 62 questions. What did Rick Gates do? Need answer. Did Rick Gates handle the finances? No. It's like, oh my God. And that's when I was my back went up, and I was asked to create this one-page narrative to give to the media in February when I was, and this is 2018, a year later, and I would not do so because I knew that those questions and answers were not only false, but there was a whole slew of other reasons that I was used as the face of the $107 million.
Okay.
And February, February 15, 2018, the article comes out that Melania, Trump's friend, receives $26 million. Not true. Then, no, by the way, they never retract it. They just sort of change it later on that evening. That
Let me ask you a question right here. The people that printed it, was that Maggie Haberman that printed that?
That was Maggie Haberman and Ken Vogel. And by the way, never received a phone call. And I knew I wouldn't receive a phone call, and I've put it on my Twitter feed. I show the internal correspondence that shows that Hope Hicks, Stephanie Grisham, Tom Barrack's team, Rick Gates, Maggie, that this is all being handled and given to Maggie Haberman and then Ingram and Hannity. So, yeah, go figure, right? So,
propaganda.
But it doesn't matter because once Maggie writes it, right, with such authority, it was the headline everywhere, and it's what everyone believed is that Stephanie got $26 million. Then the next day, she said they said that I got 1.62. Not true. Then they corrected and said I got 1.62, which I split with other people. Not true. Stephanie Winston Wolkoff never, ever had access to the bank accounts, the bank roll number, the checkbook. Like I say in the book too, I was like a piece of chewing gum. I looked at every budget and I screamed and yelled, and I did what I had to let everyone know, including Donald and Melania, that so many issues evolved daily. Every second to minute, there was something else that had to do with the finances. No wonder why I didn't have any, influence over what actually was spent. But everyone was made to believe that I did. And my partners created the articles of incorporation. And not only did, I only signed an operating agreement with 4 other people. My operating agreement, I believed, was going to be, I was paid $480,000. And the 1.62 was going to be for 3 executive producers, as well as it was a total of 12 and then 15 people, because there were 3 broadcast producers brought in by Mark Burnett. Now, Wiz became the pass-through for inaugural productions. So of the $26 million, $25 million of that was pre-approved. I'm talking back in December, before we even knew what we were doing. 25 million's approved, going to inaugural productions. Jim Roush, Chris Wagner, and a lot of huge Hollywood entertainment people whose names have never been mentioned.
Okay.
Now, the story needed to be kept away from that as well. So when you read even depositions or articles, and Maggie says, oh, and Burnett was at Trump's office and they were talking about the ticker day parade, and everyone needed that to go away, right? Because no light could be shown on the fact that Trump has support. He has media support, broadcast support, and there's nothing more important because they're the ones who keep his show going. And without them, he would not have the force he does.
Well, look at what
Let me tell you.
Look what happened when he lost Twitter.
100%. But you saw his RNC, right?
Yeah.
That was produced by someone from NBC, someone from Amazon, someone who works with Burnett. I mean, people don't know the backstories.
Wait, someone from Amazon?
Well, someone who works with Amazon.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, because he ran, unless that was a bunch of bullshit, he ran Jeff Bezos down big time.
No. Yeah, no, definitely. It's the gentleman. I mean, so Sadhu Kim, who was Burnett's original mastermind behind product placement. Okay. I mean, billions of dollars in product placement, genius, works with Amazon. Okay. But I think his company does a lot of other shows. They had come to us because they were thinking of filming a docuseries. Okay. Again, which Maggie pins on me. And then CJ Wu, who also works with Amazon now, and he was the middle guy. He was in the middle of Tiny Horse, and look, it gets really confusing and people get lost in it. So it's so much easier to pin it on the friend. Right. It's easy to pin it on the friend. But what they didn't realize or account for was that the friend wasn't going to just sit down and keep quiet. Right. But I am gagged with an NDA still, which is even more crazy. The fact that I have the PICS NDA has muzzled me from speaking about this truthfully, openly, and honestly in the way that I should, because you should not be muzzled when there is activity that's extremely questionable. I mean, I'm going to use the word questionable, and I can use a lot stronger language, but I am involved in, you know, the United States Attorney General for the District of Columbia, Carl Racine's case as the lead witness. The defendants happen to be the Trump Organization, the Trump Hotel in DC, and the Presidential Inauguration Committee. I mean, so, you know, I was first subpoenaed by the grand jury for the Southern District of New York, and then the Intelligence Committee. So my life has been all about investigations and subpoenas, because if I didn't have the NDA, then I wouldn't need to get subpoenaed. I could just be an open book and give whoever, whatever needs, whatever. Right. I couldn't. So I've personally now have spent millions of dollars trying to get the truth out. And it took over my life. And it took over, you know, people say, oh, you just walk away from certain things. No, I can't. Because until the truth is told, until people know that the 990, which is the Federal Elections Committee form that needed to be submitted a month after the inauguration, I've recently just found out, because I read the 900-page deposition out of the Attorney General's office, that it went to Alan Weisselberg. So when you hear Don Jr. say, oh, we don't know her about me, right? He perjured himself in this deposition.
That's his father's fucking line. That's Donald doesn't know anybody, then he produced 100 pictures with them.
100%. But at the same time, we're talking about financial, forget about just knowing me. We're talking about money spent as a nonprofit entity. That money is not allowed to be spent on the family or the way that it was spent. You can't do that.
Okay.
And so Ivanka and Don Jr. had no problem with that taking place, and neither did Rick Gates. And together they all masterminded doing whatever they did, which is part of the deposition. But what it did was it threw me under the bus.
Curiosity, since you worked at the White House, is not even a question. We're going to just jump around. Nepotism. How the hell did he get around that with his daughter?
Well,
are you allowed to say it? If you can't say it, you can't say it. But that's
no,
fine.
You know what I want to say is that the worst thing that happened to this country was that Ivanka and Jared moved to DC. And I will say that loud and clear. As horrible as Donald is, they went in there on such a mission. And yes, I talk about how she usurped Melania and she wanted to take all the budgets and take all of the access, and okay, that's fine. But let's look at the other side where there's, again, I wasn't involved in policy with Melania. That's why it was absurd what was going on with me, right? They just didn't want me to have a contract. They wouldn't allow me to have a regular contract as a contractor because I wasn't working on one thing.
And you were non-paid, right? Well, you weren't paid
I was non-paid. I was not paid one penny starting during the inauguration working for Melania. So,
but I mean, when you went in the White House,
or in the White House,
right. That's what I thought.
No, I couldn't be paid, even though someone like David Mon, who was brought in after the inauguration, which is again the second story that Maggie wrote, was that Trump was so angry that I brought in David Mon, and he spent over $3 million, that he was enraged, and so they got rid of me and they fired me. I was never fired. And by the way, Melania was meeting with David Mon before I even brought him in. Okay. And she hired him at the White House after the inauguration, and he planned the events with me there. And by not just that, let's back up. He moved to DC with me back, and we traveled back and forth when Melania wasn't even there. So we could redo the residence, the executive residence, as well as the East Wing. So there is so much people aren't aware of. And when you read my book, you know, my book is based on fact. Melania and me is not told through my relationship and my friendship with Melania because of the NDA that I had. Not the NDA I had at the White House, and that's the one you're talking about. The NDA I had at the White House was what the Department of Justice sued me over.
Okay.
And that was dismissed.
Yeah.
But as we know, thankfully, but I had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. That NDA was an NDA that Melania and I created that combined a contractor agreement, because again, they wouldn't allow me to, the White House would not allow me to be a contractor because I worked on too many things, I didn't just plan an event. And they wouldn't allow me to be a special government employee because I was working more than 60 days a year. So they made it, I originally was her senior advisor and chief strategist, but then I ended up in the hospital and had 2 spinal fusions.
You?
Yeah.
Wow.
I almost died. I mean, I spent a month in the hospital, and instead of the wake-up call, I mean, Melania came to see me once. I was still writing all of her speeches. I actually left the hospital to go to an event and speak on her behalf. I mean, the things I did, I can't explain it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So let me ask you this, and to play devil's advocate. Viewers would say, Stephanie, we read your book. You were going all through all this stuff. You saw all this impropriety was driving you nuts.
I spoke up loud and clear.
Right. No. But I'm not saying it. I wasn't there. I'm taking your word for that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sure.
I don't have no doubt that you did. But the question would be, and I'm sure you've had it, or maybe you haven't, would be, why didn't you walk away then and say, you know what, fuck this. I can't take it no more.
You know what?
I'll be your friend, Melania, but I'm not doing this. I'm out here. Take everything. I'm done. Forget about it.
I should have said forget about it.
Yeah.
No, honestly, it was 2 weeks in. 2 weeks in only when I started planning the presidential inauguration. And my husband, David, said to me, just fucking stop.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Stop. Again, you have to know me. When I start something, I get tunnel vision, I get obsessive compulsive, and I've got to finish it and see it through. Melania was my friend, number one, but more importantly, this was the production of the inauguration for the United States of America. I was asked to produce the 58th presidential inauguration. That to me was an honor. It wasn't about Melania or Donald, because I explained in the book, I didn't know what I didn't know about politics. Shame on me, really shame on me, because you can't go into something without knowing what you're doing or the people you're doing it with. And I really didn't know. I didn't even know Donald well. I mean, I saw Donald, be at the apartment.
But I'm going to ask you this along the lines to go like I did with Anthony. You're a New Yorker. You're in these circles. You and Anthony, because in fairness to Anthony, and I'm sure, and you'll answer it too. I know you will. But you may not have known about politics, but you had to. I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong. You had to at least hear about him, some of his stuff. Yeah, because everybody, so many people I know in the city, like, oh yeah, we knew this, we knew that. We knew about this or that.
Again, I know people can't understand it, but my worlds were my work and my kids. Of course, I knew who Donald Trump was, right?
Right, but I'm talking about the other BS, the disgusting shit. No?
I actually didn't know because I didn't know. I mean, there's so much I don't
reach
know.
Page 6 when he would call in as John Barron and talk about his wealth.
No, I never heard that story.
Okay,
I'd never even.
I mean, you heard about it now, but I mean, you didn't know about it.
Oh yeah, now.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, I heard about everything, but then I did not hear about it. Just being honest, like
no,
I have no problem telling you, I'm ashamed not to have known.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, did ego at any? Because Anthony said it was his ego. Was ego involved in this?
Ego was involved in it when I all of a sudden was in the front lines. It was, like I said, that energy, that activity. I thought I couldn't walk away. That ego of being, you think, oh, I can make a difference.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm going to make a difference. I'm on the inside. There's no way I'm walking away from this. It was that feeling of power. But the reality is no matter what you're trying to do, good, evil, bad, whatever, when you're with the Trumps, you can't do a thing.
Yes.
You can't do a thing. And I was trying to bring in my worlds. The reality was they already knew who was going to produce the inauguration. Mark Burnett was going to do the broadcast. I was such a schmo to think that I was this genius that they brought in to produce the inauguration. Yeah. Really? No, I have my experience. I know that I produce what I produce. Mm-hmm. I was the founding fashion director for Lincoln Center. I worked for, the Met. There isn't really, I oversaw Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week. Mm-hmm. I know how to produce large scale events. But to think that I was, as important as I was, absolutely, shame on me.
Okay.
And it's embarrassing because I really thought that it mattered.
Anthony feels
I
the same
really
way.
thought that I made a difference for her. And I think that was the most important thing at the end of the day for her, which was Melania would have known nothing about anything. And Ivanka and all of them, Don Jr., they would have taken more advantage of the pick the finances, and the access, and everything else that could have happened. I mean, the only good thing was I shut down the NRA event. I made, to ask me to produce an NRA event the day after the swearing in, excuse my language, go fuck yourself.
Right.
This peaceful transition of power. Again, I'd never heard that until I heard this tapestry of this peaceful transition of power. That's all I heard while I was doing this. But it wasn't a peaceful transition of power. It was anything but.
Well, look. Though, and people, here's a fact, like Stephanie talks about in her book, fact. Here's a fact. In the 1800s, there were other presidents that didn't, concede. I can't remember who they are, but I've studied this. I can't think of names. And there wasn't always, they didn't concede. But they never, first of all, there was no social media back there, and it wasn't back then and all this type of stuff. We never saw anybody like Trump, who is this piece of shit, racist traitor, who stirred that shit up January 6th with the insurrection. We never see anything like that. So I appreciate your honesty. I knew that you was going to be honest in that answer. I knew you weren't going to run from it. I understand it. I do. Reading your book, watching you on TV, I worked in intelligence. I see through bullshit with people. Believe me, I see through bullshit with people. I understand being a friend. I understand trying to help her out. But I'm glad that you now see that she wasn't who I won't even say portrayed to be, but was never.
No, she was
She was worse than him some ways.
She is worse than him,
Okay,
because
worse than
he
him.
at least, again,
Shows
when
it.
you spend time with him, he shows
He's a pig.
he's a pig. He shows everything there is to show about him. The egomania, the sociopath, the behavior is just reprehensible. Where she comes across as elegant and poised. And I have to tell you, that's when I said no more, was when it was time for people were voting. The RNC speech came out, and she all of a sudden turned a corner, and she was more like him than ever before. And I said, enough is enough. And that's the only time, again, after months after the release of Melania and me, every show I was on, they were called in by the White House. Stephanie, that's not true. They kept going after my character.
Yeah.
I said, don't attack me anymore. If you keep attacking me, I'm going to go out and release tapes. I'm going to talk out. I was expecting to do the book, say what I had to say, do my interviews. And, that wasn't that. Fortunately for me, not unfortunately, fortunately for me, I had more time to see. I learned more after I published the book than even while I was publishing the book, which is mind-blowing. It really is, because you can't imagine watching these two individuals try to run for office again. And I became so vocal about who Melania really is.
Right. Well, right. But hypocrisy, because I try to be fair. If you watch my show, I'll call the left out. I'll call the right out. I call hypocrisy out. I could care less that she did those nude pictures. I don't care. Fine.
Who cares?
But the hypocrisy is the audacity of her to call Stormy Daniels a whore, because you did nude photos. Your husband slept with her and paid $130,000 to sleep with her.
And Michael Cohen paid.
Yeah, and Michael Cohen paid, right. Paid her off, right. But the thing is, the hypocrisy. Don't put yourself like you're Jacqueline Bouvier Kennedy or you're Eleanor Roosevelt when this is not you. And the pictures were out way before he ever ran.
But she was a master. She is a master at that. And I chiseled away as much as I could at that. And that is why when I released the tapes about fuck Christmas, well, you know what? She doesn't give a shit. And if she doesn't give a shit, people need to know. And you know what? Not just that. I released the tapes where Melania tells me that the $26 million, the reason why that story needed to be told was because there was going to be an investigation into the Presidential Inauguration Committee. Melania needed to step as far away from it as possible, because the stories that were out there were that she was getting kickbacks, which she wasn't. But because of that, not only was she needed to distance herself, she also needed to make sure that the investigation didn't go anywhere near her. Now, the United States Attorney General, D.C., actually subpoenaed her for information this last time around. And that is because of my relationship with her.
Did she show?
She didn't have a deposition. She only got subpoenaed.
Okay.
Right? But it shows you this is someone that I considered a friend. People are saying to me, why did I press record? I pressed record because your friend let you get thrown under the bus, accused of getting $26 million, accused of getting 1.62, accused of getting fired. When I didn't get fired, they made me culpable to the 26 million because of my contract, because General Kelly came in on the 16th of February. And then a week later, my contract ended because I didn't have a full-time contract. But they made it sound as if I got fired, right? So here's my friend who let me get fired. And then, and we spoke for months afterwards. And those are the conversations I recorded.
Good. The smartest
And
thing
she
you
knew
did.
I had a lawyer, and she
Smart.
knew that I wasn't, and I, again, in those conversations, which people have not heard, talk a lot about the shenanigans that went on. And that's a kind word. And Melania knows exactly what happened,
Okay.
who was in charge, and who dealt with what, and how I dealt with it. And so there's nothing that she doesn't know, nor Donald. And that's why I talk about in the book, when you say, you know, did they know? They knew everything. And I would run over to Trump Tower and I would say to them, I'm going to end up in the bottom of the Potomac, because I couldn't let people just get away with things. But I thought by telling them,
No.
it's going to, didn't matter.
No, he wants
In
to be.
front of-
No, he wants to be. He wants to be John Gotti. But the one thing that he's got over John Gotti to date, and John Gotti's spirit would come back in a $10,000 suit and a manicure and say, "You son of a bitch! I was a Teflon Don until Sonny the Bull ratted me out." Right now, to date, he's been a Teflon Don. And what's disgusting too, and we've got more stuff to talk about. What's disgusting too is that you put this stuff out. And this must be, the phone is ringing. That might be Donald Trump now. You put all this stuff out, and still 74.2 million people in this country or thereabouts. We live in Northwest Indiana, not by choice, by Deb's job. They have fucking shrines out here. And I'm talking about the dirtiest, nastiest cars on cinder blocks, houses you see. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Donald Trump wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. But the question I want to ask you right here is, even with you saying, fuck Christmas, you would think the Christians would be, oh my God, she said fuck Christmas. We love Christmas. It doesn't matter to them. I'm going to say something, and I've never said it on camera, but I mean this, and I'm stand by it, because Debbie used to be shocked when I would say this, and I'm going to say it. This guy, I shouldn't say this. No, I'm going to say it because I already started. And this is terrible what I'm about to say, viewers, and it's very blunt, but I mean it. These people that worship him, because he makes Jim Jones look like a choir boy. He makes Heaven's Gate look like a choir boy. David Koresh, or whatever his name was in Texas, Waco, all amateurs compared to the cult of Trump. He could sleep with their daughters, and they could be underage. And this is terrible what I'm about to say, but I mean this. Even though there's been accusations about him already with underage daughters. He could sleep with their underage daughters, and this cult would say he is the president when he's the president of the United States, and you were going to lose your virginity anyways. You lost to Donald Trump. You should be honored. And that's disgusting to say. And if it was my daughter, I'm not going to tell you what I would do on camera. But I will say this. That's how I feel about the cult of Trump. I've never seen. And to this day, to this very day, I could drive around here and you would be not amazed. They worship this guy, and he doesn't give a fuck about none of them.
He
Stuff
doesn't.
that you put out, and her too. They said, "Oh, I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. I happen to be independent." They would sit there and say, "Oh, Michelle Obama this, Michelle Obama." Are you kidding me? They would say, "Oh, now we have a classy first lady in the White House." First of all, we had a first lady in the White House that didn't want to even be in the White House. She didn't even go there for how many months? She stayed behind. That was, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't taxpayers have to cover that Secret Service bill at the whole
Yes.
at the place?
It's about 7 months, and I was there.
Okay, and you were there. But people forget that. They want to say, oh, the Democrats are stealing the taxes. But they don't think about these things.
No, they don't. Nothing matters. And that's
Nothing.
where I have to tell people to really understand this. Was I mesmerized? I was honored. I had a seat at the table. Who gives a shit? I had a seat at the wrong table.
Right.
But let me tell you something. I understand where I was in a situation, and I was with Donald and Melania, and I talk about this in the book, actually.
Right.
where Donald Trump fires Rick Gates. But
Yeah, I
first he
remember
tells
this.
me,
Yeah.
Rick Gates, who's Rick Gates?
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know that Rick Gates was the campaign manager under
Yeah.
Paul Manafort.
Yep.
Had I known that, again, I knew that he was involved, but I didn't understand the hierarchy. He made me believe that he didn't know who Rick Gates was. And then he put on this entire show that he had fired Rick Gates. Well, Rick Gates is still the deputy chairman. Rick Gates still handled all the money and the tickets. And Rick Gates was still involved in everything that I got thrown on the bus for. But I believed in those 2 minutes, I would have sold, I would have given my hands. I would have done that guy is telling me the truth.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't realize how scary it can be to be someone who actually believes someone like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
People need to wake up because he does not care about them
No.
at all.
No.
And he would not care if he pillaged, raped, killed. It doesn't matter.
No.
And people really need to start understanding that. I understand cult behavior, and I've been reading more about it because
Right.
I'm trying to, again, I was fortunate enough to get so hurt by this, that with such PTSD, that I needed to understand what happened to me. But people that don't and just see Donald and Melania for who they think they are, or the family, they're taking money away from you and shoving it so deep down their pockets. You think that they're doing things for you. They're not doing a thing for you.
Yeah.
They could care less about you. So please, you may not think that, Biden's doing everything correctly, or this one should be doing better. No one's going to do a perfect job.
Right.
They're not. But at least Biden cares.
Right.
We have some kindness, empathy, compassion back.
Yeah.
We are not killing each other at every turn. I mean, that should matter to people.
Doesn't.
An
Not to his
insurrection?
side. Not to
It
his
doesn't to
side.
his side,
No.
but neither to the Republicans. So
No.
explain that.
Oh, don't even get me started, Em. So let me
Well,
ask you this.
they've all done too many things.
Yeah. Be best. No, you're fine. Be best, which is not fucking grammatically correct and drives me nuts. Okay. If I understand correctly, you helped her, not with Be Best, it wasn't your thing, but was Be Best a bullying thing? What was it?
So Be Best was her bullying initiative, or ended up being the bullying initiative. It was not what we were building. We were building a platform. There were two names that we were really working with originally, which was Speak Up, but she felt it was too much like Michelle Obama's. And the other was Children First, but it sounded too much like Donald's, America First. So,
Well, she plagiarized Michelle Obama. Why the fuck did she care now?
well, because, I think that was a little push from Ivanka and a little jab from Rick Gates, but okay. Yeah,
Okay.
She doesn't care. But at the end of the day, she didn't care. She
Right.
said to me, liberal media. I mean, that's how she brushes it.
But Stephanie, truthfully, you were closer than I will ever be. I couldn't be in the same room with him. But she wouldn't know the difference between. She listened it down.
No,
she doesn't know any
repeats
of this
everything he
shit.
says.
Exactly. She's a parrot. She's a parrot.
Yes, she is. And let me tell you something. So this initiative was so important to me. And one of the reasons why I stayed on, when you asked me earlier why I stayed on, because again, I wasn't changing policy,
Right.
because Melania would never go near that. But I also wasn't given a budget. So I had to figure out, how am I going to push this initiative through if we build it properly? So I went to HHS, and I was going to make it a health and human, that's how I had to think.
Okay.
Because I knew that nothing was coming to Melania, right? Nobody cared about Melania or the First Lady's office. And so with this initiative, I partnered and collaborated with Yale University, Yale Center for Emotional Learning.
Okay.
And they created Facebook's anti-bullying hub. They had created Facebook's anti-bullying hub. These are experts in the field of emotional intelligence. They have 25 years of scientific evidence-based research. They brought in Aspen Institute, Tim Shriver, Castle. I mean, we were working with the best of the best. I mean, this was a real initiative. And so I was looking forward to helping children that didn't understand the importance of emotion, didn't know that it wasn't about, intervention. It was about prevention. And so I must have been in another world here. I was an alien, because I was thinking that if we could teach children how to properly communicate with one another, that this would be coming out of the Trump administration, then we wouldn't have so much hate, crime,
But you know what? But I love you, but I gotta say I was naive because here's the thing.
Oh
Here's
my
the flip
God.
side. He's the biggest fucking bully there ever was from the bully pulpit.
Biggest.
It's like it blew my mind that she's talking about bullying when this son of a bitch, all he does on Twitter is bully women, men, Republicans, Democrats, anybody that he could bully. So it's like, are you kidding me?
And she said, I know it started home. That's what, she knew that's, the first thing that people
And
would
I
say.
would think, I got to ask you this, and I don't know.
But that's why I broadened it. It was originally just supposed to be cyberbullying.
Right.
And I was like, bullying, you can't just do bullying.
Right.
Right. So this became more of an emotional intelligence.
Did you ever see him bully her? Could you answer that question? Because I know you talked about you thought they loved each other, and I couldn't agree with you in the book.
I'm telling you, they are more alike than anyone can imagine. So they do like each other. They have a love for each other? Absolutely. But here's the thing that Melania said to me since day one. She was never going to be Marla. She was never going to be Ivana. When she married him, she knew what he wanted and what he didn't want. And she was okay with that. So she went into this marriage. This isn't, again, it's a marriage of convenience.
Right.
That we know.
Right.
And it's a transactional marriage. They both got what they wanted out of it.
That's what Anthony said about everything about Trump. He's transactional. Everything.
Everything. And, then there are moments where, for example, I was at the White House and I had this front tooth. I told this part of the story, but, with Melania, I was comfortable enough, because it was knocked out when I was in second grade.
Okay.
And so sometimes with root canal, whatever, finally I had to get an implant.
Right.
And when I was at the White House, it fell out. Now with Melania, she's like, just leave it out. And I would sit there with her and I talk and I would it didn't matter. He'd walk in and all of a sudden I'd be like, oh my God, as if it really mattered. But he had like a family of like mice in his mouth. And he didn't stop talking. So it didn't matter either. He loves to hear himself.
Yes.
And she smiles and but she does tell him how she feels about something. But in all reality, she is just as sick and disillusioned. Like, oh my God, the things I heard. But no, he's not. I never saw him be abusive to her.
Okay, so let me ask you this curiosity. And maybe viewers, you thought this and never heard anybody ask, but I'm just curious this question. I'm not making fun of her, but I think it's arrogance. Her English is not very good. She was the first lady of the United States. Okay, I didn't work at the White House. I worked at the United States. I ran what's called a Yankee White program when I was in the military, which is whenever the troops come over and they do the ceremonies with the rifles and all that, they have to be clear what's called Yankee White to be access around the president. The musicians, the band, the cooks, the military cooks, that's some that they had, and the ceremony people, they all have to be clear for what's called a Yankee White. There, as you know, you work there. There's protocol for if he farts at the podium. There's probably protocol like play it off like blame Pence or something. I'm being silly now, but there's protocol for everything. You would have thought in her 4 years, but I think because she's so arrogant that she would have got, and maybe she did, and if she did, she got with a lousy one, a tutor where her English would become better.
I tried.
Okay, so there you go. I knew somebody had to say.
I mean, I would literally tape myself for all of her speeches, everything she did. I would tape myself. And I would record it and I would give it to her to listen to. And, but I did actually try at one point in time to have someone come in and give her a speech. No. And she was a little open to it. And then she said no.
Yeah, because that's arrogance.
It's such arrogance. It's such, again, it's who he is. They believe they are so much better than that it does not matter.
Look, your husband's your love of your life, right? Okay. And maybe in kidding, he might say, like, if your son, if Zach was acting up with little kids, he might say something, oh, that's Stephanie's son. As a joke.
Right, of course.
As a joke. Okay, as a joke. Of course. But not from the book. Trump has done interviews where he said, oh, Barron is, and we're not.
Oh, that's different. No, that's different.
Are you kidding me? Melania's son. How do you even come out of your mouth? You hear President Biden talk about his family. Okay, I'm getting inducted into the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame in June. We're going down next month. As a matter of fact, I can't believe it.
Oh my God, that's awesome!
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Part of my speech is my dad. My dad is the one who brought me into the whole thing. You never heard him talk about Fred. Only time you ever heard him talk, and Marielle Trump is a friend of mine. Viewers know this. Only time you ever talk about Fred when he had dementia and he wanted to try to get all the money and everybody else didn't get everything. Robert died. He was so sad that he went golfing. Oh, bullshit. And I can imagine the taxpayers' money to bring him to the White House for a viewing, like he's some important person. Robert, I mean, but okay, so that I want to ask you that. Next question, talking point I want to go into, and it's going to be a tough one I want to ask you on this. So August 15th, you left the White House in January of 18, correct?
February of 18.
Okay, so I want to ask you this, and I'm going to read this for the viewers. So on August 15, 2017, Trump says to the world on TV, they're very fine people on both sides. Well, I'm not going to go into the whole thing. You know the deal. You're Jewish. I'm half Jewish. I'm European Jew, 60%. Those people on that other side were saying, Jews will not replace us blood and soil, which, if you don't know, folks, that's about Nazi Germany, Hitler. As well, they were calling black people the N-word with the tiki torches.
What month was that again? I'm sorry.
Okay, at Charlottesville, what's that?
No, I know Charlottesville.
Right.
And I wrote a speech for her that I was hoping she would come out and
What
say
was your
after.
question?
Oh, what was the month?
Oh, August of 17.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I suppose I couldn't. I was remembering where I was. when
Yep,
I was-
August of 17. Okay, so
sorry.
no problem. So they call black people the N-word. He comes out there. He's got a Jew standing behind him, Gary Cohen. He's got an Asian woman, Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Choi. All facts. All facts. Can't dispute them. That's fact. He says this. Well, first of all, good people don't say those things. Period. End of story. But he knew he was pandering to his base. But this is the tough question I'm going to ask you. As a Jewish woman, two questions. In private, after that happened, because you know that got huge exposure around the world.
100%.
And people that had humanity went after him. Didn't matter for his base, they loved it because that's who he's playing to. Two questions. First one, as a Jewish friend, you're Jewish, Melania knew you were Jewish. In private, did she say to you that was despicable what he said?
She didn't use the word despicable, but she actually, I didn't see her in person, so it was over the phone, and it was very nonchalant. It was just sort of no big deal.
Yeah, bullshit.
And I had a problem with it.
Right.
So I actually asked her to please come out and give a speech. And I should actually share it with you at another time.
Okay.
Because, again, what I kept trying to do was distance her from the West Wing. And keeping her away from him and his messaging was one of the things that I was doing. In the beginning, if you notice, she was not as enmeshed with him, right? She was trying to do, or we were trying to, again, when I realized what was going on in the West Wing, I tried to use my position to enable her to come back with something else. I didn't succeed. I failed.
No, you failed. You failed.
I failed.
Yeah,
So
miserably.
I know I failed miserably. So I can say I wrote a speech or I tried. I did. But at the end of the day, it didn't happen. So I failed.
But I want to say this because it's true. Let me ask you the second part of that. So as a Jewish woman, okay, I don't know if you brought your kids up Jewish or not. That doesn't matter. But,
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Okay.
My grandparents in the Holocaust.
Here's the tough question. Here's the tough question. She didn't come out and condemn it, so I blame her just as much as him. I think every word he said, she stood by it, because I have a problem with people that don't say anything. If I say something disgusting, I want Debbie. I wouldn't do it, but the way that I am, I want you to condemn it. She didn't do it, so she's a co-conspirator, a co-signer, whatever you want to say, and she felt every word that he said. As a Jewish woman, how come that wasn't your bridge too far to say, fuck this, I'm walking?
Because I really thought I could get her to actually change that messaging on her side. Ridiculous.
But even when you wrote the speech and she wouldn't do it, how come you didn't
Why didn't I walk away?
Yeah.
Because I was the only one on the inside, and I just felt that if I walked away, it would be even worse. I did. And
Well,
again,
you're not the only one in administration that says this. You know that, right?
I
There
know,
were some
but
people that said we
but
thought it would
I
be
keep using the
worse.
word shameful. I went in there with the hope of trying to do something for children, and I had a mission, and I really did believe that being on the inside, I could affect change. And being close to power, it was the proximity to power that is, again, it is enticing, and it isn't. You feel you can really do some good.
Yeah.
You can't.
Not
And
with
so
them.
I should have
Not
walked-
with them.
Not with them. Not with them. And again, I felt like stupidly, I felt like I use the word, and I know I shouldn't use that word. It's a terrible word to use, but I felt like I was going to be her savior, the savior. I thought that I was going to be able to do things that would matter. On the flip side, nothing at the end of the day matters with them except their appearance or their, the money.
They're fugazi. They're a 100%. They're fugazi. And
So no, I made errors left and right. And I own that. You know what I mean? And I honestly thought that I could separate. Here's my problem. I thought that I could separate politics and ethics. You cannot separate the two.
they have no ethics. They have
No,
none.
but I thought I could.
Right, you could. No.
With them,
No.
with this family, you cannot. You
Well, but-
cannot stand there and be okay, even
Well-
though ethically or morally I know that it's wrong. And I know that, and I'm going to stand up strong to that. But I still thought that I could somehow make a difference.
But you know what? The truth of the matter is, you couldn't. Like I told Anthony when I came back with Anthony, and he answered a tough question. I said, "Look, before you even took the job, you had, as a military man, I already despised Trump. But when I went from despise to hate was when during the campaign, and it doesn't matter about politics. I didn't agree with most of his policies, but I knew the man, not personally, but I dealt with him. I respected the man, and the one motherfucking thing that he is, and he was, and it pisses me off to this day, is Senator McCain was a war hero. He was captured and he was tortured. And his father was an admiral. This is fact. He could have got out of there early, but he didn't. And this son of a bitch said, and I quote, "I like my war heroes when war heroes not captured." And even the interviewer was like, "Did you just fucking say that?" No, he didn't say that, but that's what he meant. And he sat there with 5 deferments. And see, I'm a realist. I know other people got deferments. Of course, a lot of rich kids got deferments. That's not my issue. I'm not saying it was right, but it happened. It's our culture. People went to Canada. But this son of a bitch got 5 of them, and then he lied about it. Okay? Bone spurs, but he can't tell you what. Bone spurs is painful as hell. He can't tell you what foot they're in because he didn't have them. The doctor writes the note. And he just died a couple months ago. He was Meshuggah. He was a Jewish doctor he had that wrote the note and said, he's the most healthiest. Are you kidding me? Not only is he a racist traitor, he's morbidly obese, and he lies about, you would think he was a woman. He lies about his weight.
No, honestly, Brett, there is no excuse, right? I could say a million times over, I thought it was going to affect change. I thought it was going to do good. I'm sorry for being someone who actually had the ability to affect change and actually thought that I should use it for them.
Right.
That's shame. I'm sorry that I got involved with them. I'm sorry that I believed she was my friend to begin with. And my children have learned a lot from this. And they know you don't get into bed with people you don't know. And I didn't know Melania. I just didn't know her.
Right.
And I believed that she was my friend. I really didn't do right by myself, right by my family. Now, what's interesting though, and I'm talking about my children and my husband.
Right.
But let me tell you something. With all of the things that happened, with me almost dying in the hospital, with everything that I was accused of, everything that they threw onto the one woman in the mix, there were no other women. No one's looked at that, right? I'm the one woman that the Trumps threw under the bus with their presidential inauguration committee. I'm not talking about in the White House with all of the other things. They threw the money, the finances, all of these things at me. My mother still voted for Trump. And I think that's important for people to understand why, again, the mindset, right? For me, I've choked over it. And that's how I understand what people, when they look at me, to think that I did that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I finally was
So your mother voted for him because you worked with him?
No, my mother voted for him because she is a Republican through and through.
Wow. She voted for him twice?
So
I'm
want to talk
speechless.
about
I'm speechless.
pain, and but this is where I say people need to separate politics and life. It's difficult. It's not easy, but I love my mother. You can't separate politics and ethics, but people need to be able to communicate with the other people on the other side, or we're never going to make amends. We're never going to move forward.
No,
And
I
so-
agree. I agree with
And
you.
I use it as my example because she's my best friend,
Right.
but I am filled with so much. I don't even have the words for it, and I don't even want to go into it because respectfully to my mom.
Right. Right.
But oh my God.
Yeah, but you make a good point, and I say this, and I said it on. I did a bad Brad thoughts the other day, and I meant it. I actually want a good Republican. I was a Democrat, then became a Republican, and now I'm an independent. I'm more liberal on social issues. I'm more conservative on fiscal issues.
I'm like you.
You know, but the truth of the matter is, I actually want a good Republican Party because the Democrats and they need to have checks and balances.
100%.
But unfortunately, this fucking group are seditionists, racist, lying bastards. This election was not fucking stolen.
Oh
That's
my God.
ridiculous. But Ted, you make me go down the list, but Ted Cruz and all of them, Josh Hawley with the fist up. And January 6th, they want to minimize it. Are you fucking kidding me?
And they're doing it.
And they're doing it, and they're getting away with it. And that's why, and like I said, I never say that Democrats are perfect party and all that. No party is perfect. No human being is perfect. We're all flawed.
No.
But the truth of the matter is you've never seen, and this is Trump that did it, you've never seen this playbook play like this. Marjorie Taylor Greene. What a piece of shit.
Oh my God.
She's a pig. She's a pig.
I mean, all of these things that this is Trump.
Yeah.
This is all Trump.
Because they know those 74.2 million voters, there's no bridge too far. It didn't matter. If Trump said we're going to bring back public hangings of people, and you made a point with women, he has he's a racist.
Like,
don't get me wrong. I know he's a
100%.
racist. I know he's a racist.
And by the way, so is she.
And I was going to ask you that question, is she a racist? But he's a racist, period. But he has no respect for women. Black women, women of color are even worse, but he doesn't respect women. He didn't respect his mother, who called him a pig in Marielle Trump's book, that he was disgusting. You know, here's the thing. You know they're fucking arrogant when he looks like a clown. He's orange. And I'm not doing a comedy routine. It's the truth. It's the honest to God fucking truth. And people don't look at this stuff, how crazy it is. He could have got his hair done. He could have got his complexion done. He could have got his teeth. He was the fucking president of the United States.
He thinks he looks great.
He thinks he looks wonderful. That's how insane he is.
Yes.
He thinks he looks wonderful. He looks like a fucking clown. And you know the statues that they were fighting for? As you know, they were Confederate statues for people that wanted to keep people in slavery, who lost the fucking war and who were traitors. This motherfucker couldn't tell you the difference before they told him what to say. He wouldn't know a Confederate statue from one of Harry Truman. That's how fucking stupid he is.
He didn't know. He did not know.
Right.
How about his first interview when he first became president? He stood in front of the CIA. Remember with
the people with the stars.
And no one told him. It's like, oh my God, or you know, he didn't know. So again, back to who these people are. People really need to understand that Melania and Donald, his children, are all one and the same. If anybody else committed perjury, let's just take the most simple of things. Do you know Brad? Never saw him before. I wouldn't know if he was standing in front of me. If I said that, that's perjury.
Yeah.
Don Jr. said that about me, right?
See?
This is during a deposition under oath.
You went
Do
to his
you
brother's,
know?
You went to his brother's baby party or baby shower. You were at his father's wedding. Wasn't he at his father's wedding?
I was at, yes, of course I was at Donald and Melania's
about
wedding.
him. He was, right?
Who?
Don Jr.
Of course.
Right, so he was
I've
around you.
seen them. I mean, it's the
Right,
most.
Right. It's insanity.
It's insanity and irrelevant to lie about something like that, but it shows you if they're willing to lie about something so obvious,
Because
you don't think they're lying that and get away with it. Like Donald say, I can stand in Fifth Avenue or
And
Park
shoot
Avenue and
somebody.
shoot somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
But wait, things will change.
Okay. Last thing I want to ask you, you did say, well, two things I want to ask you about Melania. I'm going to go to some fun random questions to get off the Trumps. So you just said she's racist. You willing to say any of the incidents that you heard? If you can't, don't do it. Don't do it if you can't.
Well, here's the thing. You know, I feel I didn't speak up, obviously, when I should have. And I feel, I feel guilty about it.
Right.
There are definitely times that I should have said more than I did, and I didn't. And I have to own that.
Okay.
And I know that. And I'm sorry for that. And I let things go where there were situations and conversations because they were part of the overall movement of what we were going to do next. So, you know, if someone was in a position at the White House that had been there during the Obama administration and Melania was thinking about getting rid of them and firing them, but knew that if she'd done so in the beginning, that the immediate first reaction would be, well, she was doing that because she's racist. Now, to have that conversation is different than knowing that she actually knew that that's exactly why what people would say versus that she actually did feel that as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know
And
exactly
so
what you're
I didn't, I mean, that's not a great example of
No, I know.
me
I can
not,
read between the lines. I get
Yeah.
you. I think the viewers.
but she
you.
absolutely, I mean, there was a conversation with Meghan Markle
Yeah.
that she and I had. You know, there were definitely instances that,
Okay.
yeah,
Don't go too. I don't want you. I don't
No.
want you to put yourself in. You weren't with her when.
no position. You know what? The reality of all this is people need to know.
Right.
And so I've been so, honestly, I've been so kind. And I know that sounds like people can say, how do you go kind? I have been so gentle. I don't want to be gentle. I need the NDA removed from my neck.
What removes it? What removes it?
The Presidential Inauguration Committee can remove it.
So the one that did President Biden's?
No.
Oh, the
Donald
one that's
Trump's
over all of them. That's over.
No, the one Trump's Presidential
But
Inauguration
they're not
Committee.
going to do that.
Well, let's see.
Okay.
Right? Because I am not going to live my life with an NDA wrapped around my neck. Trump's campaign was allowed to get rid of theirs.
Okay.
So I should be allowed to get rid of the pics.
Okay.
And if I'm not, shouldn't everybody question why?
Oh, of
Shouldn't
course. We know
everybody
why. They don't want you to
demand-
talk. They don't want you to talk because you know too
But
much.
doesn't everybody want to know what happened to $107 million? Doesn't everybody want to know what happened?
Well,
No one
people-
even knows what happened.
Decent
It's
people
sort of like,
do. Decent people, but his
Yes,
side,
they
no,
do.
they don't care. You could sit with Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio and all these guys. They'd be like, I don't give a fuck. I don't
right,
care.
because we're all in
I
bed
don't care."
together.
They're all in the bigger. Final question I want to ask you about Melania. If you had the opportunity right now to sit in a room with her and she couldn't run, she couldn't hide, the door was locked. I'm not talking about anything violent, but you were able to say to her what you really wanted to say to her, what would you say?
The first thing that came to my mind was just, you're a terrible human being. I mean, it's really, that's in my heart of hearts. It's actually lucky I'm calling her a human being.
Okay.
I don't even know what I would say. Truthfully, I have so much anger and so much, not resentment, but I'm so disgusted and I'm so, it's vitriol. Like I would probably yell and scream and I wouldn't become violent, but I think my actions would speak for what I actually want to say to her. Because again, it wouldn't matter to her.
I was just going to say that.
But
I
to
still
me-
want to hear what you would say. Right. She wouldn't care. It's like, didn't she say when the Hollywood Access tape came out, boy talk or something like that?
Oh my God. She literally, I was expecting to walk in and find her like, hidden in a corner. It was like, no big deal. I mean, it's amazing how she handles the things. It really is. I mean, if I could handle certain things with just a little bit of, disregard, she is like pure disregard.
Cold
Boys
as
will
ice.
be boys.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, boys will not be boys.
That was rape. Because I've talked about this. I said, I have done locker room talk as a man. There's a
Right.
difference between locker room talk and saying, I am Brad Berkwitt or I am Donald Trump and I can
Right.
move on her like a bitch. No, you can't move on her like a bitch because you're Donald Trump, because then that's rape. Because you think because of who you are that you have the right to touch somebody and you don't. And there's a difference between locker room talk and that. And I know locker room talk
100%.
today is frowned upon from when it was back in the day, but there is still a difference. And in anybody else's run, whether they were Democrat or Republican, prior to this son of a bitch, it would have been over at the McCain comment. It would have
Oh my
been
God.
over at that. When Gary Hart sat on the boat monkey business with Jessica Hahn on his lap and he took a fucking picture, He was the front runner for the 88 candidate. Then it became the caucus. Done, but not Trump.
All these girls, all these cases, all
Yeah.
of these victims, no one cares.
No, and then hey, you probably won't forget this when I say it, but who in the fuck does this? No matter if you're a Hillary Clinton fan or not, who puts the women in the front row? Which shame
Oh
on
my
them.
God.
Shame on them because you know they got paid off. I'm not
Oh,
saying that
100%.
might not have been some truth to what they were saying about Bill Clinton because he is a whore. But that's not the point.
But to
shame
show
on
up-
you to sit there for Trump. It would be one thing if he was a decent guy and he wasn't any of this, and you were like,
He's
we want
so
you to know
bad.
that Hillary Clinton is this, or whoever was running against him is that. This piece of shit, I always say to Deb, I say, you're willing to go off the cliff, and now we're talking about Donald, to go off the cliff for this son of a bitch? You're willing to take a bullet for this guy?
That is exactly the point. That's what people need to be asked. You're willing to take a bullet for that man.
Yeah.
Because this man and that woman, that couple you are the last person that they
Yeah.
care about.
Yeah.
And honestly, they only care about themselves.
Oh, I know. They always
that's
have.
it.
They always have. They always have. All right. Anything else? We're going to segue into the last part of the conversation, interview, just fun random questions. But is there anything else that I might have missed that you want addressed? If so, I'll give you the mic to talk about it.
No, you asked such great questions, and thank you for giving me the platform to do so, because I just think the Presidential Inauguration Committee, when people say, oh, people don't really think about it, they don't care about it anymore, they really should care about it, because
Yes,
that's where everything began. And those all about the finances, all about the money. And if you follow the money, you will get to the truth. Again,
Yeah.
the NDA
That's a
keeps
friend of
me
mine
quiet.
said. He always said the money. But you talking about money, when he said that the tax cuts that he was going to give was going to affect him, if you ever want, you know how when our kids said, they say opposite glue, whatever that little saying was when we were young, something about something stick to you, not whatever. If he tells you it's going to hurt him, you can bet your ass that it's not going to hurt him. It's going to hurt the medium, the working class, and everybody else.
Oh my God, he said he gave up his salary. He got billions in return.
Robert, he paid $750. It amazes me. Okay, we could talk
Anyway,
12 more hours
thank you.
about this ass. Okay, let's segue into the fun questions. What is Stephanie's favorite genre of movies?
I love crime.
Okay.
I love suspenseful dramas with a mix of, crime. I guess that's why I like I like being in the middle of the crazy. No, honestly,
Okay.
I'm so bad with genres. Oh my God, you're going to get into this with me. I'm a cultural dodo.
Okay.
David laughs at me because he knows more. He could recite movie lines to you and music. You ask me what music, I'm going to tell you, I listen to EDM when I'm writing my book. Like, I need loud, listen, everything that happened to me, Brad, my life sort of took a turn,
Right.
or not sort of, it did take a
took a
big
turn.
turn.
Yeah.
So much of what I would answer you, I think before I was so traumatized, honestly,
different, yeah.
now it's different because
right.
what I listen to or what I enjoy, or what just, again, I write a lot and I do a lot of investigative work. I mean, that's what I'm like the crazy lady with the little books,
Right.
and connecting all the dots. I mean, I don't watch a lot of TV. What you watch with David every night before we go to sleep. I mean, that's what we do. We watch our shows. I love Handmaid's Tale. I mean, those are the type,
Okay.
they're just,
Well, you can then these fun random questions, you can answer them prior to Trump
Okay.
land. So prior to Trump land, what was your favorite go-to movie that you can watch over and over again? Never gets old for you.
oh, I loved, what's the name of them? Oh, I did like Shawshank Redemption,
Oh,
but I really loved the one with, Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner.
Nobody Puts Baby in the Corner.
Oh my God, Patrick Swayze.
Oh, you talking about Dirty Dancing?
Oh, I
Yeah.
love Dirty Dancing.
Was that up in the Catskills?
It may have been.
It might have been. I think it might have been in the Catskills.
Yep. So those are my two, like Shawshank and Dirty Dancing.
Great movies. Okay. Do you have a favorite musical band? Any type of music, even before all this happened?
I love the Stones.
Okay. If you had to pick two songs that you could put on loop, for Stones, what would it be?
I don't know what they are. I'm
Sing
telling
'em.
you.
Sing them.
I'm
Okay.
yeah, you really don't want to hear me sing.
Okay.
I'm
Do
being
you-
honest. Like I can't. The name.
That's fine. That's fine.
Ask me about finances and ask me
Oh,
about.
you're a Jewish girl. You better know about finances. Are you kidding me?
I'm
So-
talking about the presidential.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, I know, but you're still a Jewish girl if you don't know about finances. Okay. Pre-PTSD, did you have a favorite concert you went and saw? As a
The
young
first
girl, with
concert-
your husband or whatever?
Actually, the first concert I ever went to. No, not the first concert. My first concert I ever went to with my husband was Kiss.
Okay.
Anyway, I had loved it. I had a great time. I didn't think I was going to like it at
And
all.
you liked it.
I
Well,
did. I liked it.
you know they're part of our tribe, right? You know Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley are Jewish. Did you know that?
You know what? I know, and they were also about to almost perform at the inauguration. So I was like,
Lord. Well, yeah.
maybe
Wow. Yeah, you had a great lineup at the inauguration. Not.
Not.
You barely got
Oh.
anybody.
Again, that's a whole nother show.
I know.
Just on the entertainment.
Okay. Do you have a favorite male singer, solo singer?
Like so. You're really going to do this to me?
I am.
Oh my God. I'm so bad at I'm
Name
so
a
bad
song.
at
I'll
this.
tell you who it is. Unless it's something crazy, I don't know.
I like Shelton.
Okay.
I do.
Shelton's
My husband and I
good.
are country lovers. Actually, we do love country together. We go to country concerts
Okay.
together.
Okay, so flip it. Favorite female singer? Is it a country singer?
No, I really do love listening to Janet Jackson.
Okay, Jan Jackson. So did you back in the day? Did you used to dance to the songs? The
course.
Pleasure Principle and. Okay, what is your favorite noise or sound?
Oh, I could tell you I love hearing my children's voices, which I do,
That's fine.
but I love really pounding music, like EDM. Like I love a really strong, or classical or.
Okay. Flip it. I think I might know the answer. What's your least favorite noise or sound?
The Trump's voice.
You're not the only guest that said that one. Okay.
I hate honking.
Hang on. Well, in New York City, you get all the freaking time. You know that. Okay. What is your favorite food?
Pizza.
Oh, me too. And you had to say
love
pizza. You can't, you know where we're at. You can't get a good slice of pizza. I
Oh,
people,
my-
I tell them a good New York slice, bend it, let the oil drop off, and they eat it like this. They're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like
It's
a different
so
language.
good.
It's the best. When
I
to
love
New York,
pizza.
New York. When we come
I'm
to New
gonna
York,
take you to
pizza's on you.
pizza.
Okay, you bring your husband.
You
Okay.
bet.
Favorite dessert?
Ooh, I love a good cheesecake. New York cheesecake,
Okay.
not ricotta. I like, as creamy and fattening as possible. No, I really do love a good thick graham cracker.
Okay.
I would say
Okay.
cheesecake.
Okay. And the other thing you got to take me to, I'm dying for, is some good matzo ball soup.
Oh my God, I
I
have a
gotta,
bunch
go
of
to
different
a
places.
deli and get my matzo ball soup. When we
I
went
might
to
make you
Florida-
some.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Hey, you send it to me. Okay. If you would hit the lottery tomorrow for the 200, 300, 400 million, the big one, what would be the first thing you would do?
Hire about 20 lawyers to get the NDA off of the pick.
Okay. And after that, what would you do?
Pay back. Also, like literally pay the millions of dollars that I've spent in legal fees.
Okay.
Being a witness against
you-
the Trumps.
I don't know if there's answers, but well, there's an answer, I should say. But you working now, or are you not working at all? I mean, besides
I'm
for this
work-
stuff, but I mean, are you with your company or anything, doing anything?
No, so SWW Creative, I shut it down when
Okay.
I went to go work for the Trumps because I didn't want to have any conflict of interest. So I used
Oh,
all my
imagine that!
relations.
But they didn't shut down their fucking business.
No,
How
I
about
literally
this one? You remember
shut
this one, Stephanie?
it down.
What's that?
25 years of work, I shut it down.
Right, but remember when he came out with that Meshuggah and the lawyer with all the folders? That shit was
Please.
Donald Trump's. That's what he's the best at.
Yes.
The smoke.
Fanfare and show.
Well, we're
but
gonna
there's
show
nothing.
you. Yeah, and the dummies bought that shit. They still. Okay, so
Please.
if you could meet one person from any time in history, any walk of life, who would the person be, and what would your first question be for him?
Originally, automatically I thought, but because then you asked me the second part, so I wouldn't know the question. But first I was going to say Churchill, because I really do read and find him inspirational. But I guess Gandhi, and I would ask, why me?
Okay, okay, that's fair.
What do I, you know, there has to be a reason.
Right. Well, if you're looking from a religious standpoint, they always say God doesn't give us more than what we can't handle.
I know, and I
They
say to
but
my
you've
mom
had
and
a
to my
lot.
brothers,
Yeah.
you know what? I have enough. Like I know.
You're still standing. I give you credit there. You still, I know it's tough. I know it's tough. See, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that well, I don't think, I know in talking to you that you totally read the signals wrong, Melania. But I'll be honest with you, knowing, if I knew, I know you said you didn't know that much about it. If I knew, it's like people say to me.
But people did tell me, my friends did say to me, Stephanie, run. I mean, it's not as if they didn't, I wasn't warned. My husband did say to me after 2 weeks, get
out.
the fuck out of that
Right,
situation.
right,
And
right.
I was listening to like the things that were going on around me. I blocked it out and took tunnel vision
Right.
to just do my job.
Right.
It was still, Brad, it was still
Well,
United States
Anthony's
of America.
have you ever talked with Anthony? Anthony was in the same boat.
Oh yeah, of course.
That how he felt. And you know,
100%.
people, I tell people, I say to people, and I mean this, I stand by him. Yeah, I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I know me. I couldn't have done it. People say, because they'll use an example, say Floyd Mayweather, you know, the boxer. I can't stand him. Best boxer of his era as a person. He's a woman beater. He's a piece of shit as a human being. I said, they said, well, what if he paid you $5 million? I said, but I still have to walk past my mirror and say, okay, I'm getting paid to look. I couldn't do it. I'm talking about me. I couldn't do it.
How about me doing it for free?
For free, which is even worse.
Even
but, you know,
worse.
But I tell people with Anthony, like, well, I said, but the thing is, look at what he did to get President Biden elected. Look at all the people that he alienated from his financial business that loved Trump and said, fuck you, Anthony. I'm not doing nothing with you anymore. Of course, look at the risk to you both, to you as well, to Marielle Trump, to you, to Anthony. There's a security risk. You know, I worked in intelligence, but also worked in physical security. People don't look at this. They're small-minded. They don't realize that Trump has the power to do anything.
Let me tell you something. I was so scared of for my life that for 2 years I kept the shades down, drawn in my home, and I literally did not go out originally because of everything that I did know and everything that they knew I knew. But with my involvement now in all of the investigations, you know, my lawyers actually say to me that I'm more protected than ever because they do know that I'm involved in all of these investigations.
Right.
And I could stop, you know, saying and going on air like with you and saying the things that I've said. I don't plan on shutting up whatsoever. And until I see some justice.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. With everything we discussed today, if you had to sum yourself up in a few thoughts, Stephanie, as a human being, what would you say?
I know that I'm a very sensitive, kind, decent person. I know I'm very naive and trusting. I know I believe that I can still affect change. And I can't change who I am. And I still do things that I know are beneficial for others. For children, food, you know, my supporting all of the different initiatives that I sit on the boards of for food allergies, the Sean Parker Center for Food Allergies and Asthma, Federal Enforcement Homeland Security Foundation, where we give grants to families whose loved one has been injured in the line of duty. I mean, I know that when you say, you know, you can give in as much as you can handle, I know that I like making a difference. I like to help. Will I put myself first? I haven't learned how to do that yet, but I do know now how to say no.
That's a good thing.
So I learned a really invaluable lesson. But
okay. With all the interviews you've done about the Trumps, or I don't know if you've done any this personal, you know, talking about the side of you, because I like 360 interviews.
No, I love it. No, I haven't spoken to anyone like this.
I guess it would probably be more with the Trump stuff. But is there a question that an interview? Yeah, it would be, because if you haven't done these type of interviews. more so to Trump. Is there one
I have to say
question?
that I did with, I had a great interview. One was that very personal, but, and I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Don't say it. Go ahead, because someone might want to see it. Is it on YouTube?
It's on a podcast. I'll send it to you.
No, say it so the viewers can see it. You don't want to? You don't want? You can't.
No, I
remember?
love it, and I want to tell you. I forgot the name of it. It's Dragon. Oh my God, the viewers have to see it.
Put it up on your Twitter.
Okay, that's
Go to
what I'll
our
do.
Twitter feature. Remember, I'm not gonna. That's fine. Is there one question though that an interviewer has never asked you, and if so, what would the question be? What would the answer be?
And it's not about Trump.
That's fine. Or no, it doesn't have to be about Trump, because if that's fine, it could be anything.
Oh my God, Brad, you're really tough.
I know.
I mean, you're tough. I can't even answer what musician that I like. A question like
You
this.
said
This
Blake
is
Shelton. You said Blake Shelton.
no, and I do, but
And you said
I
Janet Jackson. You see, I remember.
I know, but look, I think a great question would be, seeing this through the eyes of my mother, what I went through and who my mom is and how she supported me. And at the same time does what she has to do for herself. For my children, if I was asked what I would do if I saw my children in the same situation that I put myself in.
Good question.
I would, again, I would probably lock them in the house. No joke. Look, you have to let people do what they're going to do, especially at our age. At my age, when I'm 50 now, whatever, 45. But I couldn't sit back and watch my children suffer the way that I did. And so I don't know how I would handle it differently. Or my wife or my husband, you know what I'm saying? They all cared so much. But the question, I guess, for myself is how would I have handled it? How would I handle it differently if when my children grow up and they're in the same position?
Okay.
I have to figure that answer out. I don't have the answer, but I know it's a really big open question for me.
Gotcha. Last question in the interview I always end on. Finally, what is the saying you live your life by, if you have one?
I say love what you do and do what you love.
That's a perfect one.
And we're all perfectly imperfect.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. All right, I'm going to close out with some thoughts. I'm going to give you the microphone to finish up. First of all, I appreciate you coming on today. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I commend you for answering tough questions like I commended Anthony. I appreciate you. I have respect for you. As well, you didn't have to speak up. You could have just went into the shadows like most of his fucking administration has done since they left. Elaine Choi, okay? Oh, she left 2 weeks before he left office because the insurrection was a bridge too far. Really, Elaine Choi? Really? Ben Carson should have left when he said fine people. Okay? You got people that just, Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. Hang Mike Pence. And you want to know something? I do believe if they got him and grabbed him, they would have hung him that day. People say,
100%.
oh no, they would have hung him. Them people were sick and crazed. But you're over here, Mike Pence is over there talking about the greatest honor of my life was serving. I would be like, you motherfucker, you sent them there? You couldn't come near me. And the thing was, his wife and daughter were there. His wife and daughter.
No,
But he's
it
a
does
good
not
Christian.
make any sense.
But he's a good Christian. Very, his wife works at a school that won't allow gay kids. Okay, fine.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The wife Karen. Yeah, they don't accept gay children. Yeah. So
what school doesn't accept gay? I mean, I didn't even know there were.
Oh yeah. It's probably a private school, but yeah, they don't accept gay children. They're okay with that. Well, he was so bad here in Indiana. He was a governor of this state that they overturned him. He tried to do, I don't know if it was like gay conversion or something he did, some crazy shit that he did, and it was so extreme they overrode him. But the point that I'm making is, I commend you for using your platform, whether it's Twitter. You don't have a website, do you, by chance? Do you have a website for your book?
I don't, actually. I don't.
Okay. So Twitter,
for years I've been, I don't. I've worked in the industry. I partnered with, again, I have great people, and I am starting to actually produce some shows when you asked earlier.
Okay.
Um,
But you
so
can follow on Twitter. I was just trying to get your social
Twitter.
media.
Thank you. No, Twitter.
Follow on Twitter. But you didn't have to do the things that you did. People say, oh, she sold a book. Okay, but there's still a cost at that book. I know it was a New York Times bestseller. They don't understand when you go up against power. Well, I don't care what side it's on. It could be you going against a Democrat. Could you been going against Kennedy back in the day, which would have been really bad because we didn't have social media. But they don't understand the cost to the person when they do this. And that's the point I try to make to people. They say, oh, well, she was with Trump or he was with Trump. People can make mistakes. People can get duped. Things can happen. It's what you do down the road. Did you stay with the Trumps? Because if you stay with the Trumps, then really we wouldn't be talking right now.
Right.
Because I'd be like, you know what? I don't want nothing to do with you.
And that's why it's so important for people to know that I hired my lawyer while I was still working with the Trumps,
Right.
so
Right.
they could understand the financial dealings that were going on while I was in the White House.
Right.
While I was telling the White House counsel that
Don
everything that
McGahn?
happened
Was
during
it
the
Don
hit.
McGahn?
Don was there, but Stefan Posentino, who went and worked for the Trump org, so he couldn't speak to Mueller. I mean, these are the people that I was
Who was
telling.
that piece of crap that he was a real racist? Sebastian. Or maybe it wasn't Sebastian. So he's a foreigner. He's from another country guy. And he's real arrogant. And he's a racist. He's
You know what I'm saying?
real.
I didn't have anything to do with the West Wing. So I couldn't even tell you who
Wow.
was
Well,
involved.
I'll tell you, he's a piece of crap. And
Except-
he parted him. Steven, I call him, he looks like a paramecium on a slide, is Steve Bannon. What a creep he is.
He pardoned Steve Bannon,
Paul Manafort.
Roger Stone, Paul
Scumbag.
Manafort. These are all people,
Scum.
again, and I'm the person that really look at that. Just look at that and realize who is in charge and who is really doing what they're,
Right. Right. So
it's amazing.
in closing, like I said, I appreciate you use your platform. You've got access to me now. I'll bring you back on anytime. We've covered all this stuff, so I can bring you on now and we can do segments. But you got a voice with me. I'm not scared. This is
Thank
gonna
you
run
so
the
much.
whole thing is unedited. I don't do that editing crap other than putting in the opening. So I appreciate you. I'm glad we finally did this. Check out the book. Did I hear you say you was working on another book?
I haven't decided.
Okay.
What I do is I do little lady, as I said to you, is those little lady, like
Yeah.
my friends call me a beautiful mind because I literally sit there and track and pin and it again, following who's done what with whom, who's collaborated, who's joint ventured, it's so mind blowing and no one gets it. People have no idea what's happened since that day of the presidential inauguration. And when you see
But the ones that don't get it are
companies-
never going to get it. They're never going to get it. They don't want to. They're
they're never going to get it. They don't want to, but a lot of people just have no idea the puppeteers that are really behind Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that is
Honestly, it's mind blowing because I'm
Mind
gonna go back
blowing.
to what we said. It's not like he's charismatic. I don't think he's charismatic.
No.
It's not like he's not decent. He doesn't use religion in the right way. Jim Jones used religion to get them to drink the Kool-Aid and kind of. He doesn't use any of those things. 2 Corinthians. How about when he had him tear gas and he holds up the Bible and he says, "Is that your Bible? A Bible." What a schmuck! He couldn't even lie and say
upside down.
upside down because he's a schmuck. He's a schmuck. All right, let's end it like this. I want to give you
I was
back the
trying to see what
microphone.
this was.
Put out a positive message off of the Trumps to the viewers and to the world. What do you want to say?
I want to say, first, I want to thank you for having me on and for
You're
being so patient with me, because I know I wasn't as responsive as I should have been. So I do apologize for that.
That's the inside joke. People don't know what you're talking about. It only took 5 months to get Stephanie to do this. Not to get her to do it because she was all over.
I wanted to do it right away. It
I
was a
know.
matter of finding the date, because again, I am my life
I know.
wasn't my own. And so I just want people to realize the importance of, you only have one life to live, and you really do have to, I keep telling myself, live it to the fullest, have no regrets. I already have so many regrets and I already have so much pain that I feel that I just want people to wake up, be appreciative of those around them. Don't take anyone for granted. Live every day to the fullest. And you hear this, but you don't really act it. And I think that under the circumstances, I think that we need to all think for ourselves and not listen to our peers as much or pressure from others, and really, follow your soul. Listen to what your gut is telling you, because 99.9% of the time it's right.
Mhm.
I didn't listen, and I knew what I was doing wasn't always the right thing to do. And I've lived my life in every other area accordingly. I've done what was, I know, the right thing to do. And really cherish your family and the moments you have, and be appreciative of people like you that give others an opportunity to speak the truth, speak fact. And this isn't about making up another story or life of falsehoods or trying to make someone look bad. This is just the reality of what we're all living in right now. And I just hope that people are able to understand that again, just love what you do and do what you love.
Okay. Well, that message, that was a mitzvah. You did a blessing there. That's a good thing you did.
Thank you.
For the Yiddish viewers, all two of you. Look up
I
what
know,
mitzvah
right?
means. Actually, believe it or not, when I throw in stuff like that, people are like, I know what he meant. I'm like,
I mean, they have to know.
Like, yeah. They're like, yeah, okay. Well, hey, again, kiddo, you got, like I said, you got access to me. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. It's not easy. Never is easy. But I'm glad that Zach is doing good. I really am glad to hear that he's doing better. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
I know
so
you're proud.
much.
I know you're proud. All right. On that note, folks, that's another show.
Really. Thank you
And,
so much, Brad. I'll speak with you soon.
Absolutely.
And I promise you matzo ball soup and pizza.
I'm going to hold you to your word. I got it on camera now.
Yep. No, thank you so much. And
All
I
right.
appreciate everyone listening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Oh, it's Dov Barron.
Oh, I didn't stop
The
recording.
podcast is Dov Barron.
Okay, look at that. See, I was about to hit end. There you go.
Again, it was meant to be, right?
There you
Thank
go.
you.
All
And
right,
that
you're welcome.
really was an amazing time with you today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye, Brad.
Bye-bye. Well, folks, you saw the press release about a week ago come out, as we made a promise when we started back in September last year, when Mariel Trump was my first guest. We're going to bring you big names, important people with messages. They're going to be unedited. So sometimes you're going to get a 4-letter word in there, which you should be used to, because I say them all the time. Forget about it. But I knew that was going to be a great show, and I got a lot of respect for Stephanie. I do. Okay? People make mistakes. They happen. It's what you do when you move forward. Okay? She's living with a pain that I can't say that I feel, but I understand it, and you should understand it too. So before you leave any type of comments to the negative, I'm not going to let those fly. So watch the whole show. There's a lot to take in. I believe her story. I think she's sincere. I said that when I did the book review. It's not easy speaking out against power, especially when it's that Mama Luke Orange, morbidly obese, racist bastard, traitor, Donald Trump. And his equally complicit, be best, fuck Christmas, boy talk, Melania, his wife. Okay? She's just as bad. She's worse. You heard what Stephanie said. She's worse, which I always knew. I don't believe in people being complicit to bad behavior. I don't. But again, that's another show in the can. Forget about it. Make sure you hit that button, whatever corner says subscribe. Tell all your friends, and I greatly appreciate my subscribers. I really, really do. Leave your comments below. Again, follow me on @BadBradRSR, which is my Twitter platform, really my only social media platform these days, @BadBradRSR. All right, folks, like I said, it's another show in the can. And remember, every act of kindness is a little love we leave behind. Bad Brad out.